Hey everyone, welcome. This is Darren Kidd, and we appreciate everybody joining. We are using a software program to actually broadcast this to several 100,000 people. So whether you're watching on YouTube, welcome. Appreciate you. Because of all of you, we're growing at several thousand subscribers a month. Please make sure that you subscribe to my channel. If you're on Facebook, we appreciate you. Like the page and also set it up for notifications. We've got Twitter, we've got Periscope, and so technology allows us to do some amazing things where we don't have to have 15 phones and do 15 different broadcasts. But I am excited to bring to you a special guest today. We're going to get started here in just a minute that can really help you thrive through these challenging times. And a lot of great things coming your way. But do me a favor as you're joining, love to know where you're watching from. I see we've got Jen from South Africa. We appreciate you joining. We got Melinda in Central Virginia. We've got Solomon. Thanks for joining. All right, we appreciate that. Let's see, who else do we have? Comments are a little slow, but we will get started. All right, well, we're going to go ahead because I know people watching the replay don't want to spend several minutes of me going through and taking the time. We got Nancy in Wyoming. We got Debbie in Florida. We appreciate each and every one of you. But hopefully you have a pen and paper handy because, you never know when you can get that one thing that can make a big impact in your life. And earlier today, Dr. Fab interviewed me on his podcast and his Facebook page. And I shared with him how recently I purchased a book on Audible. I was going to North Carolina. And I'm like, you know what? I want to listen to a really good book and grow on my way, that mobile university, right? Drive Time University. And I was looking at some of the reviews, and it was fascinating how people were going, man, you could have gotten to the point a lot quicker, and you could have done this, and I wish you would have done that. And I'm like, wow, they were not looking at what was right. They weren't looking for something that could change their life. They were looking for what was wrong. And I'm like, all you need in a $22 book, if you can get one thing, it can absolutely change your life and make a huge impact in your future, on your future. And so it only takes really one thing today to make a true impact in your life, in your business. And so I'm excited because I know you're going to get a lot more than one thing, but I encourage you to take notes. Don't trust your fortune to your memory. If you just listen to this and watch it and do not take notes, within 24 hours, over 50% is gone. And the next 24 hours, the numbers continue to increase. So make sure you go back and you review your notes over and over and over. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So it's my pleasure to introduce, over the last couple of years, very blessed to have a gentleman enter my life. And let me share with you, I've heard his name over and over and over again. I'm working with some companies and different executives and friends of mine, and they kept talking about this guy named Dr. Fab. And the first 10 times I heard it, I'm like, okay, sounds like a cool guy. The next 20, 30 times I continue to hear his name, I'm like, man, this guy must be pretty amazing. And then I was in Vegas. I spoke on stage, and when I got off, this guy walked over with amazing energy, a great smile. And you could just, tell his heart just by meeting him for the first time. And that was Dr. Fab. And we built a great friendship. I have learned so much from him. He has been a great mentor of mine. And you may have seen him on the TV show, Dr. Phil. You may have seen him on the TV show, The Doctors, or maybe it was CBS, or maybe it was NBC, or maybe it was ABC, or maybe it was CNN. You may have seen some of his best-selling books. He's done so many things, and he's, connected. And I went to a mastermind event that he had out in Florida here a few months ago before everything shut down. And it was a life-changing, couple days. And I was like, you know what, man, some people are in your life for a reason and some for a season. And there's definitely a reason that Dr. Fab came into my life. So Dr. Fab, thank you so much for taking a few minutes. I know we've interviewed you once before, but back by popular demand, we wanted to bring you back with a new message, some more content to help everybody thrive through these challenging times, thrive through the new normal.
Thank you, Darren. And I just want you to know that I feel the same way about you. I was so excited to have met you in Las Vegas. And I'm so glad that we developed such a great relationship and friendship because, none of us can fulfill our mission by ourselves. That's the first thing I want you to write down. You cannot fulfill your true mission, your full mission. You can't live your potential by yourself. You need others. And one of the things that I find, Darren, is that many of us have a difficult time receiving. I find that most of us are very good about giving and helping others. But then at the same time, I realize that when it comes to us needing help, many of us just go into a cave. Even when our friends try to help us, we usually say and pretend everything is okay. Well, all of us have been disrupted like never before with this pandemic of COVID-19. And I just want you to know that you're not alone in this. This has impacted all of our lives. It has impacted every race in the world. It's impacted every age in the world. It's impacted every nation in the world. This is really the biggest disruption that we've ever had in history. People can't even compare it to any world wars or anything like that, because this is worldwide, where economies have been shot. People have been ordered to be home. Now we have to wear masks in most places that we go to. So I just want you to know that anytime I go through things like this, Darren, the first thing that I do is I take a deep breath. In fact, right now, if you're watching, just take a deep breath with me. You know that the average person only breathes 25 to 30% of their capacity. Deep breaths are very important because it brings oxygen into your body and it allows your body to function. It gives you energy. It allows your organs to function properly. So when disruption like this happens, anytime you're facing a challenge, a change, a problem in your life, I usually begin by breathing. Just breathing deeply throughout the day allows me to pause, because one of the things that I've learned in my history, not only owning my own companies, but being the CEO of many companies, I realized that when everybody else is scrambling, when everybody else is reacting and frustrated and really struggling with change, right, or disruption or challenge, I find that the people that truly succeed are the ones that are calm. The ones that can take the information objectively, the ones that can just observe, listen, instead of reacting, just observe and listen. And then they make decisive choices. They make decisions. Because what happened is that we know that nothing changes until you decide for something to change. So I want you to realize that you're not alone in this journey. Darren and I have supported ourselves through this journey because he's my mentor. Just as he said that I was his mentor, we mentor each other because why? We both have different skill sets. We both have different experiences. He has information he's shared with me that has been so instrumental in me, allowing me to thrive during this time, just like he may feel the same way about me. So, Darren, I just want to say that people are calling this a new normal. The challenge is that nobody knows what that's really going to look like, because this new normal keeps changing every week, almost every day, from the economics, from the unemployment, from the businesses that are shutting down, from the fact that we're seeing businesses that have been icons in America, when we're talking just in America, that are no longer going to be open businesses, that they've actually shut down, and infrastructures that we never thought that they will be impacted when something like this may happen. So I would love to take this conversation anywhere you want me to take it, Darren, but I just want you to know that I'm honored to be with you again. And I'm excited to share maybe some practical tools of how anyone can truly thrive during this new normal that we're experiencing.
Awesome. Yes. And for all of you that are taking notes like I am, he said some powerful things. I want to make sure you caught onto those. Number one, having the right mentors and coaches and associations in your life. Our associations, if you show me your closest circle, we can show you your future. And it's very important to have the right people in your life that speak the right things into your world, because it makes a big difference. One negative thought is 4 to 7 times more powerful than a positive. I know it was the power of positive thinking talked about when you speak something and you speak a negative comment to someone, it's 14 to 17 times more powerful. Now the science is showing that when you verbalize a negative thought, multiplies it by 10. So there's a 40 to 70 times higher chance of that happening than if you didn't verbalize it. And there's all the science behind that and the way your brain works. And that's one of the reasons it's so great to have those people into your life, like Dr. Fab, where they can see things in your life that maybe you can't see just yet. And they're speaking positivity and they're speaking possibilities. Really important to be intentional about who you associate with, who you listen to, what you allow in your ears, in your eyes, okay, whether that's the media, whether that's what you're reading, what you're listening to. That was extremely important. The next thing that you mentioned was you talked about our thinking. You know, the same thinking that got us to where we are right now is not the same thinking that's going to get us to the next level. That's why I've been able to learn so much from you. Like you said, you have so many different experiences and successes, and and the people that you are associating with are some of the brightest minds in the world. And so I love being able to hang around someone, because a lot of times when they say you become who you hang around, there's a lot of truth to that. And then you talked about being proactive. You know, we were talking this morning on your podcast, which, by the way, everyone, you want to make sure you subscribe to his podcast. I put his website on the screen for you to see that. And we talked about challenges. Obstacles lead to elevation. Without obstacles, there is no elevation. However, when you're going through the challenges, if you're in reactive mode and you're focused on what you can't do more than what you can do, you're never going to get to where you should be. So focus on what you can do, focus on where you're going, and be proactive. So those are all great tips. And so any advice, what would you recommend when it comes to, I know we have a lot of people with a lot of different backgrounds that are watching this. We got people from all over the world on YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, Facebook. We have a lot of people that will watch this on replay, and it will continue for a long time, many years from now, as it lives on some of these platforms. So with people coming from different backgrounds, and a lot of people, maybe they're in network marketing, maybe they're in real estate, maybe they've never had success before, maybe they just got laid off, and they're dealing with, which, when you're going through those type of stress and struggle, maybe they're depressed. I mean, I struggled with depression. A lot of people struggle with depression. I don't know of anyone that hasn't struggled with depression at some point in their life. And then that affects your relationships. And what tips do you have for people that are watching on how to stay positive, how to continue to move forward, how to make the best out of these times?
Well, thank you, Darren. And I want you to do me a favor. I want you to change the website to one that I'm going to actually offer a great resource for people that is full of amazing things, and is www.fablifeacademy.com. fablifeacademy.com. So let me tell you what I did, because I think that's the best way that I can share and answer that question. When this disruption happened, it changed my life. I have 4 companies, and 2 of them were shut down because there was no income coming in. 2 of them, I had the potential of earning more income, even though they struggled. So I had to actually reinvent, what really I needed to do. So anytime I go through a struggle, I typically call people that have been really good about dealing with struggles. So if I have a relationship struggle, I call, my mentors that are very experts in relationship. If I have business struggles, I call my business mentors. So I wanted you to know that what I did when all of this happened, I realized that I wasn't the only one being impacted, but I also mentor, as you know, Darren, many CEOs and entrepreneurs that depend on my guidance to help them with their businesses during challenging times. So all of a sudden, I was going through my own challenges. My clients, my mentees were going through their challenges. And I'm like, I got to step up big, because this is a disruption like we've never seen before. There is no manual, right? There's no manual that will guide us of how to deal with this pandemic. We've never had anything like this before. First thing I did, I started calling all of my experts, my friends, my mentors, the people that I have trained under over the years, and I started asking them questions. How are you responding to this? What are you doing about your business? How are you managing having your children at home? How are you dealing with your significant other or your spouse? How are you taking care of your health when you can't even go to the gym? I started asking all of these questions, and I started coming up with a 3-step process that I started implementing into my life. A very simple 3-step process. So I'm going to go through it for you, Darren, and then I want us to dialogue on it. So the first step on the process is you must do a honest assessment in yourself. You must really evaluate where you really are right now. You see, what I've learned is that many of us tend to be very positive, especially successful people. And you start rationalizing that, hey, this is not going to be long. We thought that March 1st, that within 2 weeks of shutdown, everything was going to be fine. It hasn't, right? It's 5 months, and we still don't know the uncertainty of the future. When the when the stock market closed, I have never experienced that in my 54 years of life. That was an unprecedented time in my life. So we know that this was going to be, so I had to really be honest with myself and be able to assess where I'm at. And I discovered that there are 3 areas in your life that pretty much control everything in your life: your business and your personal life. The first one is my impact. How would you assess your impact right now? Has your ability to impact your customer, your clients, your family, others decreased because of this? Then the second one is, how am I spending my time? Because you see, right now, there's a lot of people that have wasted a lot of time during this downtime. You know, I think the average American has gained 9 pounds during the COVID period. There's a lot of people that did not utilize that time to work out at home, to be able to cook healthier meals, to be able to create a new business, to be able to go ahead and contact all of their clients to ensure that you're still going to be there supporting them. So how do you spend your time is critical. And the third thing is that you have to assess how you are with money. Money coming in, money you have in the bank, money you have maybe in savings. But I want you to know right now that if you evaluate and assess properly your impact, your time, and your money, pretty much you will be able to thrive in any environment, including now. So what I started doing is I started asking many of those influencers that I know, and many of that Darren, how do they evaluate that? Then I started going into the books, and I started recognizing that I needed to find metrics. How do I evaluate where I'm at? So I started putting together a series of questions as to where are my priorities right now? What are my true goals right now? They can't be the same goals that you did a month ago, 5 months ago, even a year ago, because we live in a different time. So you have to rewrite your goals every day, like Brian Tracy has taught us for many years. So I start with that, then some general questions. Then after the general questions, what I realized, I needed to be able to measure it along the way. What are the key indicators of measurements that have been proven by science to evaluate your life and your business to make sure that you stay on course with what you said you wanted to do? So I put together that assessment, which, by the way, I wanted to offer to you with my gift. I usually charge my clients $500 to do this assessment. I'm giving it to you as a gift because I want you to benefit. I want you to benefit from this and show you what I've done myself and what I'm doing for the many clients that I have. And then that's step number 1. Now, step number 2 is that you needed to be able to not only assess, but you needed to be able to identify the needs of the people you serve. This was life-changing for me because what I realized is that at times like this, we feel inclined to offer people what we already know we can do, right? Our skill, our job, our product, our service. But the reality is most people out there will not engage with you because they don't realize they have a need for that. So what I realized is that the needs of my clients were changing and they weren't the same needs that I was offering them before this time. So I started doing like Survey Monkeys, asking them, what is your biggest, what has this disruption, how it has impacted your money? Or what is your biggest health challenge during this time? Or what is your biggest problem that has been created because of the pandemic? Or what's your biggest challenge in your company, etc. So I needed to find out what their needs were. And once I really found out what their needs were, by asking them, right, it's the only way you're going to find out, I had to then put my values, my services, my products, and position those in a way to support their needs. Not the things that I felt they needed, the things that they're telling me they need, So right now, as a doctor, the health of humanity is so huge. So I've been called to do so many media segments because people want to know, how do I keep my health up during this downtime? How do I build my immune system naturally? How do I exercise properly? How do I lose weight while I'm home? How do I manage my stress levels having all my family at home, which we're not used to dealing with that? So then the first step is an assessment. The second step is to identify the needs and put them with your values and be able to offer your values based on their needs, right? That's life-changing right there. And the third one is you needed to put an action plan, take activity, execute, put together the actions that are going to drive your business forward in a way like nobody else. You have to have a sense of urgency. The needs have never been bigger than now. So this is the time for you to be able to offer, like, yeah, fine, maybe one area of your service or product has been impacted, but what about creating a new area that they desperately need? What about thinking out of the box? What about truly recognizing that, you know, you have a lot more resources than you think you do? And then I added a bonus, Darren. The bonus is you have to have accountability. You know, like Darren said, this is the time that I have hired more mentors, more coaches than ever before in my life. Why? Because I'm dealing with disruption like never before in my life. So right now is the time to be able to work on you, invest in you. Make sure that that accountability is there, because this is what I've learned. Human behavior is not very difficult to figure out. We are all creatures of habit. So if we don't have an accountable partner that holds us accountable to change in our thinking, in our behavior, it probably will not happen. And then you're going to find yourself 3 months later with the same problems, the same challenges, because you weren't able to do the things you needed to do. So if you go to this website, you're going to have an assessment that you can easily download. You can easily, have access to it. And it will tell you, the assessment will tell you what are the areas that you need to work on when it comes to your time, your impact, and your money. And then it gives you suggestions and all of that. And then for your people, Darren, the first 10 people that fill out the assessment and send it back to me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 30 minutes of my time, 30 minutes of my time, which I usually charge $500 for every 30 minutes. And I'm going to give you an idea of what I would do if I was you based on your assessment. Now, the reason I'm doing this, Darren, is because, I love you, but I realize that during this time is the time that we need to give, we need to share. The people that are thriving right now are more service-oriented today than ever. And I'm not talking about thinking about how I'm going to make money out of this. I'm talking about truly trying to meet or solve the problems of others with your skills, with your products, with your services in a way that people can benefit. And when you offer people solutions, not only does it make you feel great, but let me tell you, money is always being a byproduct of your service. So all of these years, as you know, Darren, I only focus on service. All I focus is helping people. So I want to help you. So by filling this out, I'm offering myself to help you. The first 10 will be the only ones that will get my 30 minutes of one-on-one, but I want to help you. I want to show you that the opportunities in front of you are right everywhere. They're everywhere, but you are too wrapped up in your survival mindset that you can't see all the blessings that are sitting right in front of you. So that's my three-step process, Darren, that I wanted to share with you and your audience today.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's talk about this, everyone. I hope you're ready to dig a little deeper into that. And by the way, so I got the website and I spelled it correctly this time. It took me a couple times. By the way, for all of you that are watching, I did implement a new text service. It only goes to me. You can opt out at any point. Just text SWD to that number on the screen. So that way, when I go live, I know that Facebook's notifications are not that great. I can go ahead and shoot you over a quick text message, and then any promotions and things that we launch. But phenomenal information. So let me share with you some of the things that I took out of that. And let me know if you have any aha moments in the comments. Make sure you're tagging the people that you go, man, they need to hear this. This would encourage someone, because it doesn't cost anything to watch this broadcast. And when you have someone like Dr. Fab that charges $500 for 30 minutes, and as a favor to me and our audience, he's coming on here and he's just given us life-changing information. You know, people don't know what they don't know, and it's very important that we direct them to this, especially during times like these. So let's talk about some aha moments that I had that just reinforced that I'm on the right track and I need to continue to focus. Questions. How many times did Dr. Fab talk about asking yourself a certain question? The quality of our life is determined by the questions that we ask ourselves. I used to say things like, I can't afford it. I can't recruit. A lot of you are in network marketing, home-based businesses, direct sales. You say things like, I can't recruit. I can't get customers. I can't build it in my small town. Instead of asking, how can I afford it? How can I be a better recruiter? How can I be a better customer getter? How can I increase my retention? Man, I can't build a business. I'm too busy. We all have the same time, 24 hours in a day, the same suitcase. It's what we put in that suitcase. How can I build it around my busy life with 5 kids? And when I was building as a distributor, before I went to training, speaking, and coaching, you know, we had franchises, which is like having a bunch of additional children. So ask yourself the right question. Empowering questions will get you empowering answers. Thinking is asking and answering your own questions. I had a breakthrough recently by doing the exact same thing. I'm like, okay, stop. I need to slow down to go fast. I wrote down a bunch of questions. How can I serve more people? How can I make a bigger impact? Just like Dr. Fab was talking about, and had some complete breakthroughs, brought on an amazing, you know, company and client and things like that. So ask the right questions. When he talked about your impact, every one of you have the ability to impact people. So right from your phone, you can impact people all over the world. And your vibe definitely attracts your tribe. So you're going to find people that relate to you and love your message and your authenticity, and you're going to be able to impact more people. And by the way, Dr. Fab, I shared this with you earlier, but I want the audience here to hear it as well. Speaking of asking the right questions, I was on the phone several months ago when we first, you know, everybody was quarantined, and the essential businesses were able to stay open and non-essential wasn't. I was talking to a guy and he's like, you know what? After 15 years in business, I'm preparing to bankrupt. And I'm like, well, ask yourself the right questions. And he's like, man, I can't believe you said that. He's like, matter of fact, I did. I go, how can I become essential? I had the ability to build sneeze guards when that was not my business, but because of the business that I have, so I bought a domain. I've never sold anything in my life at all. He's like, Darren, I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'm getting thousands of dollars a day in orders at that time. And it exploded. And I'm like, you may look back and go, this was one of the best things that ever happened to you, because you decided not just to go through it. You ask yourself, how can I grow through it? What can I do to add value? What can I do to solve problems and challenges that are going on right now? So that impact, that's powerful. Number 2, where are you spending your time? If you want something different than the masses, we have to do something different than the masses. It's pretty simple. The masses are going to mope, complain, and not do anything about it. But that's not all of you watching. You wouldn't be watching if you weren't going, look, how do I become better? How do I add value to, you know, how we get paid based on the value that we bring to the marketplace. So you're spending your time learning. Your company may shut down. You may get laid off, but you take you with you everywhere you go. And if you want to make more, you become more. And that's what you're doing. So it'll get to the point, it doesn't matter what your company does. There are going to be people knocking down your door to want to have you a part of their organization because the value that you bring. Successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. So I love the question, how am I spending my time? You know, what am I doing with my education? Am I getting better, or am I just sitting back and being bitter? Am I going to sit, soak, and be sour, or am I going to move forward? Your money. This is something that in my life, I mean, I'm going to share the story over the next few months in more detail. I'm going to give it a little bit more time, but if you'd have told me 2 years ago, Dr. Fab, hey, Darren, you know, you're making more money you've ever made in your life. Like, it's like you're printing money, but I didn't know I was going to have 3 surgeries and hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical bills. I didn't know I was going to walk away from all of my income because I knew it was the right thing for me to do, right? And so the things that have happened over the last year and a half, I think everyone now knows, look, things can change in a heartbeat. And it's very important to evaluate, what are we doing with our money? And that's a great point. Then number 2, you said identify the needs of your clients. So true, things change. A lot of times when we've had the biggest struggles, and you look, some of the greatest wealth is created during recessions, during depressions, and during wars. And if you ask the right questions, solve problems, solve the challenges that your clients have, and I love how you did the Survey Monkey. It wasn't about what you thinking they needed. You actually dug deep and go, look, I truly do want to help you, but I need to know where you need that help. And then last, you said action plan, execute. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge plus action equals power. It doesn't matter how much you know. And I'm not sure you agree with this, Dr. Fab, but I would rather see an imperfect plan executed with intensity than waiting to have that perfect plan, because the perfect plan never comes.
There's no perfection.
Right. And the last thing I'll say, and then I'd love to get your feedback on anything else, accountability. I've had many times in my life where the people that I was associating with at that time, when they would hear me going to someone and investing $10,000 or $15,000 for a 6-hour session with someone, and I've had friends go, man, have you lost your mind? Why would you ever do that? I'm like, why wouldn't I do that? If I want to hit my goals and my dreams a lot sooner than later, why would I spend, like, Dr. Fab, how many years have you been, an entrepreneur, an author, a speaker, a CEO? How many years have you been doing that?
35.
35. Why would I want to spend 35 years trying to figure out what to do right when I can go hire you, right, and shave years off of my learning curve? When I can read your books and listen to your podcast and download decades into days. And with accountability, the late billionaire Paul Meyer taught me this: you will never get to where you should be without some type of accountability, right? Because our apathy is a natural human instinct common to us all to seek a comfort zone where nothing ever changes. That's why I have a trainer at the gym. I know how to work out, but I'm never going to push myself like that trainer is going to push me. That's why I have accountability in every single area of my life, and it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me. So all phenomenal points and great info. And that's just my take on what you just said, but keep going. We're not going to stop you.
Well, the main thing, and I appreciate that, Darren, the main thing is to really understand that I like practicality, right? So for my life, whenever I get disruptive, whenever challenges happen, whenever surprises tend to come into my life, we're not prepared for that. So we just have to breathe, pause, and be able to evaluate it properly. And what I noticed with this process, this 3-step process, a system, a very simple system that allows people to be able to recognize in a very easy way, to fill out the assessment takes less than 10 minutes. It's a very easy way to do it. But more importantly, it gives you very clear understanding as to what are the areas of weaknesses that you currently have, where do you need to really focus your time, energy, and money on. And also, if you don't have clarity doing chaos, you perish. And that's the challenge. Right now, the most important thing that I'm finding for myself and others is to be clear about who I am, who do I want to be during this pandemic, instead of what is this pandemic doing to me? Many of us feel like victims, right? My jobs have changed. I've been forced to be home. I don't have employment anymore. My kids are desperate because they can't get out of the house. Imagine all the kids, all the parents that both parents work and the kids are in school and now everybody's at home. This has been very difficult for a lot of families. So I just want you to know that this is a time that you need to really figure out, who do you want to be during this time, right? You have an opportunity to learn about yourself, to actually develop a new skill, open a new company, get rid of that job, right? If you got laid off, did you know, Darren, that over 70% of the people hate where they work? They don't like where they work, So this layoff, I'm praying that at least 70% of those people will realize that this was a blessing. This is a little push they needed to actually find the kind of job that they want to do, or to open a home-based business, which you have been so successful in training people how to do that, or to be able to collaborate with somebody else and be able to go into a business with something that you're passionate about. So one of the things that I want you to know, when you go to the you go fablifeacademy.com, you're going to have the opportunity to do the assessment. But what I wanted to do, as you were speaking, Darren, I'm going to go ahead and give you all the virtual resources, thousands of hours on personal development programs that I've created over the 35 years that I charge thousands of dollars a month for. You're going to get it for 30 days at no charge. I want to do that for you because, the more I start sitting here, I'm like, yeah, they're going to do the assessment. And yeah, those first 10 people are going to get 30 minutes with me, which are going to be life-changing. But I also want to be able to help everybody that really wants help right now. You see, the one thing I've learned, Darren, is that no one can shape my destiny but myself. Anytime that people say, oh, if it wasn't because of my husband, I would have been somewhere else. No, I want you to know right now, you chose to not want to do it. Nobody can force you to do anything because it's your life. Even though you may have difficult circumstances, I want you to know that you're the one defining yourself. You are defining your future. So for me, during this time of thriving, when I started really interviewing some of the biggest people in the world and how they're thriving during this difficult time, I started recognizing that there were certain behaviors that they were applying, that there were certain mindsets that they were applying. And you and I have been in the space of personal development for years. And even though we were impacted too. I have my shock moments. I mean, when I started seeing that, here I have my calendar booked for 70 lectures a year, and my lectures are $25,000 a lecture. And I'm like, I have nothing from March, and it's still to today, I have not been able to do one of those lectures. I've done a few lectures for a lot less money virtually, but that impacted me greatly. What was I going to do? I've been doing that for 30 years. That was, comfortable. But remember this, you have to learn to learn to love being uncomfortable, because that's the only place that you actually will grow. And Darren, you have said that year after year that I've seen you and I've heard you, is you have to embrace the uncomfortable, learn to love the uncomfortable, and learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Once you do that, you realize that your life will always be moving forward. But if you get complacent, if you just say, Fab, I'm just making enough money to pay for whatever we need, I never subscribe to that, because my whole objective and the people that I mentor, my slogan, it's called the Fab Life, but my slogan is living your potential, right? And I found a symbol of many from the Egyptians that actually means living your potential. And that is my foundation every time for the last 35 years that I have been helping people in personal development, is what is our true potential, whether it's our health, whether it's our physical abilities, whether it's our monetary abilities to earn. Who is to say? I mean, we have stories after stories that people that have become extremely successful with coming from the worst backgrounds you would have ever imagined, no education, homeless environments, from foster care to foster care. I mean, you name it, right? With limitations like you never would have imagined before, but they did it. And I realized that anytime somebody out there has done it, somebody else is able to do it too. When the first mile the record was broken, as you know, it took almost 35 years, I think it was, for somebody to break the mile record. And then once it got broken, within the next 3 or 4 months, about 20 people broke that even. So I want you to know that times like this, you have two options. Either you can stay in survival mode, meaning that, I'm just going to do whatever I can. I'm just going to keep watching the news. to tell me what to do, or when the country is going to be open, or whenever I can go back to work. Or you can be in a thriving mode. And that's what I choose. That's where you get to create your future. You take care of your health. You take care of yourself. You take care of your family. You take care of your business. You take care of your customer and clients. Just don't let the bricks and mortar stop you from servicing them. But also, remember, this is an opportune time to create something new by listening to the needs of others. So make sure that you really pay attention that I think that we have been given the greatest gifts in the world. I call it a universal timeout. We as humanity needed a timeout, and we needed to reflect upon the behaviors and the mindsets that we have developed over time. We have not taken care of our environments. Most people's spiritual lives is really decaying. Most people's health is terrible. As a provider, as a healthcare provider for over 30 years, it saddens me that the health of humanity is the worst it's been in the history of humanity. You know, we're not getting better. We're getting worse every single year with chronic illnesses, healthcare costs, etc. You know, in fact, the number one reason in the United States for people that for the last few years that have gone personally bankrupt has been a health issue. When we know over 80% of them can be preventable by simply changing our lifestyle. And that's the world that I've been leading in the last 30 years. So I just want you to know that this is a time to thrive. And Darren, myself, and others believe in you to thrive. We wouldn't be doing this unless we believe that you can do it. And it doesn't matter what excuse you give us and what circumstances you share with us. I'm still going to tell you, Darren's still going to tell you, we believe in you. And you know what? Sometimes we have to let somebody else's belief be greater than ours. Because when I didn't believe in myself when I was a young man, and one of my mentors saw in me all this potential that I was able to achieve in my life, at that time I would laugh. I would say, you're crazy. I will never do this. I will never do that. Look at me. What do I have to? Why me? I don't have anything special. Well, you know what? He believed in me. And I tapped into his belief system to actually get myself out of my comfort zone and do the things that I know I needed to do to move towards that direction. You can do the same. And I hope that these resources will help you be able to thrive over the next 30 days like you've never done before.
Yes, I agree, man. Awesome. And I like this. Tatiana said, excuses sound best to those who make them. No excuses. And once again, everyone, I know that every one of you, you're receiving this at where you are right now. So we'll all have different notes. It's like when people go, hey, go to that event, buy that course, take notes, and I'll just copy your notes. It doesn't happen. That doesn't work because we're all at different places. But a few things that he said, he said, look, you know, having someone that believes in you more than you believe in yourself. And when I started, I didn't have anyone. I live in a small town. We didn't have social media. You couldn't connect online like this. A lot of times the enemy is the inner me. It's your own self-doubt. You know, the limitations, it's in your own mind. Every time, and I know Dr. Fab, you can tell me if you agree with this, every time I've gone to a different life in a different level in my life, it is because I finally believed that I could. When you, and you know, you have no idea the impact you've made in my life. For example, when you invited me to speak at your mastermind. And I'm like, well, man, who else is going to be there? Well, you've got Dr. Amen, the #1 brain health expert in the world. You've got Mark Victor Hansen, Chicken Soup for the Soul books. I'm sure he's a billionaire by now. You've got Les Brown, one of the top 5 motivational speakers in the world that I've been listening to for decades. And then you had me. And I'm like, whoa, do I fit? And you speaking into my life, go, man, I heard you on stage and I saw your trainings and I know your content. You should be there. I'm like, wow, okay, maybe. So when you have those type of people in your life, and guess what? If you don't have those type of people, you've got 2 right now believing in you. I was bankrupt 21 years ago. I had my car repossessed. I was so depressed I couldn't even get out of bed. Went to the doctor, was put on all these crazy medications that made me feel worse than depression, right? I didn't know where to go. I couldn't make it through college. I live in a small town. My house looked like it was abandoned. Nobody even knew we were living in the house. We couldn't afford to put grass in the yard, you know, and then they repossessed my car. I had no hope, right? And the only year I went to college, year and a half I went to college, was in a speech class, Dr. Fab, that had 15 people that I knew. I would about pass out in front of 5 people. I'm like, that is the worst thing. I never want to speak in front of people ever again after this class. I couldn't eat days before knowing I had to speak in front of 15 friends. If you would have told me, hey, someday you'll be speaking like I have in front of 25 to 40,000 people at a time, I would have said, nah, you've lost your mind, not me. You have no idea of how much potential you have inside of you. And you don't have to believe what I believe. You don't have to believe what Dr. Fab believes, but hear what I believe. I believe we're made in God's image. And if I believe that if I'm made in God's image, you know what? God doesn't make mistakes, and God doesn't make junk. And so if I am made in the image of the Creator, we've got greatness inside of us. You've got so much potential. We're not living up to just a fraction of our potential. And going through these challenging times, I love what Dr. Fab said, clarity during chaos. Clarity during chaos. It's so true. I saw Jen ask the question, what if you plateau? Anytime you plateau, you feel burned out. From my experience, it's lack of clarity. Clarity gives you focus. Focus gives you energy. You may be saying right now, well, look, I don't have this. I don't have that. Stop it. Focus on what you can do. Write a can-do list. Well, I can't do this. That's a can't-do list. Make a can-do list. What can you do in the situation that you're in right now? And here's another thing I would recommend. Don't let another negative word come out of your mouth. Be very careful of what you're speaking. Think about what you're thinking, right? One negative thought is 4 to 7 times more powerful than a positive. When you verbalize it, it multiplies it by 10. That means there's a 40 to 70 times more likelihood of that happening. So for the next 30 days, here's my challenge to you. No negative thinking. No stinking thinking. Right? Take a checkup from your neck up. Evaluate that. Be careful with the verbiage that you're using. Don't use can't. Like, I can't do this. I can't do that. Your brain wants to be right. It's designed, it's created to want to be right. So when you go, I can't do that, when you're thinking 70,000 thoughts a day, it goes into your subconscious mind and throws into your conscious mind. You are right. Here are all the reasons you can't do that. Instead of doing what Dr. Fab suggested, saying, how can I do this? Then it goes into those subconscious folders, starts throwing into your conscious mind. Here's how you can do that. And Dr. Fab, it's how I landed a huge, amazing client recently. I go, who do I want to work with? Who are some great people I'd like to associate with? Where can I make the biggest impact? And when I was asking these questions, it brought to mind someone. I messaged them, and once we met, we worked out a deal. They're like, Darren, I can't believe you contacted us. We needed you at the exact same time that you contacted us. So for all of you, here's my mindset right now. Here's an affirmation the billionaire Paul Meyer once again taught me. It's one of my favorite. The world is conspiring to do me good. The world is conspiring to do me good. You block the negative. There have been days, I'm just being real with you, over the last couple of years with surgeries and family stuff and business stuff, Dr. Fab, I've had to have something positive going from the moment my feet hit the ground in the morning, right, until at night. I nonstop, because I know I have to displace that negative junk that the world is throwing at us and the negative thoughts that are going through my mind. It's like a dirty glass of water. You have to displace it with that pure, clean, fresh water. You can't say, don't think of a pink elephant. You think of a pink elephant. You displace it with that positive stuff. Man, Dr. Fab, you got me fired up. I'm sorry, I'm preaching over here, but I mean, you just hit with so many great things. And you talked about, and let me just say this, how important, Dr. Fab, this is the last thing, because I respect your time. We were only going 30 minutes, but you know what? With all the comments and all of you, let me know how much you appreciate Dr. Fab spending his time with us when he has a lot to do, right? Making a major impact in all of your lives. Let him know how grateful you are in the comments, please. But gratitude, to me, I think gratitude is an eraser for negativity. If you're grateful, all of you, you should be grateful. You have technology to watch this. It didn't cost you anything. You've got the health. Every day above ground is a good day, right? So there's so many things to be grateful for. If you always go, well, once I get there, then I'll be grateful. It's never going to work. If you can't be grateful during these times, you can't be grateful when you get to that. Success is not a destination. It's the journey. It's the process. So how important is gratitude? And then we will let you go.
It's interesting because, in my last book, The Power of Self-Healing, which was an international best-selling, I talked about emotions that heal. And what we have found in the literature, when I went through a lot of scientific studies, is that the emotion of gratitude produces healthy hormones, healthy chemicals in the brain that allow you to be happy, that allow you to be stable, that allow you to be at peace. And what we have found, I started interviewing a lot of patients that have actually used gratitude to heal themselves from physical, emotional, or spiritual problems. And it became one of the most powerful. In fact, for me, I wake up with gratitude and I go to sleep with gratitude because I realize it's one of the most powerful emotions that I can exercise on a daily basis. And for many years, we have talked about having a gratitude journal, paying attention to the little things in your life that happen that you're thankful for. And this is a great way for you to be reminded, but also to look for the things that you are thankful for. So think of little things like, I'm grateful that, my significant other took time to express their love with me this morning. Oh, I'm thankful for the fact that my children gave me a really nice hug before they went to school. Oh, I'm thankful that a friend of mine reached out to me out of nowhere just to say hello. Whatever the little things or big things that happen, just be grateful for. But when I went to the science, Darren, that's when I really became obvious to me that it's an emotion that we need to exercise more often. And then I was talking to an expert in mental health, and he was telling me that he uses gratitude as a solution for depression, because he says that the people that are grateful cannot be depressed at the same time. So you cannot be depressed and be grateful at the same time. Depression comes from you not being grateful and for having a negative perspective or expectation of something that you're currently going through. But when you focus that energy, like I often said, people, when they tell me they went through a very difficult time, I always say, well, you want to get over that? The quickest way that I know how is go help somebody that has it worse than you, somebody that went through a worse time than you. And when you help somebody be able to go through a worse time, then you get to recognize that, it's all a matter of perspective, because people are struggling and suffering, and especially during this time, more than you will ever know, more than they would ever tell you, right? Because it's a little embarrassing to say, you know what, I'm broke. It's a little embarrassing, like, my spouse is about to leave me. It's a little embarrassing to say my children won't even talk to me. It's a little embarrassing to say I have this business for 20 years. I'm thinking about closing. But the reality of it is, when you're grateful for what you do have, instead of always waiting or expecting something more in the future, you live in the moment. And living in the moment is where all the opportunities are. So grateful forces us to be present, right? To be present. And that's probably one of the greatest gifts that emotion has for people.
That's powerful. And I'll end with this. Last year when I had appendicitis and in my appendix, it turned gangrene. It was leaking into my body and they didn't know it. And I was in the hospital for almost a half a month and my stomach shut down. And I just remember looking out the window and I went from almost 200 pounds to 170 pounds. And I'm like, man, those people, and I was watching people walk across the parking lot. And I was like, they don't know how blessed they are. Like I took for granted walking outside, smelling fresh air. We take for granted drinking fresh water. We take for granted, I was listening to Rick Warren the other day, he's like, your taste buds. Aren't you thankful for your taste buds? And so what I've done, Dr. Fab, is when I changed my verbiage too. I don't have to go work out. I get to work out, and then I made almost like a game out of it. I mean, when I get in bed at night, I will take time and visualize my goals and my dreams. And there's all the science behind that. And I will go, man, I am so thankful. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for a comfortable bed. I'm thankful for, fresh air. I'm thankful for being quarantined in. I didn't get stuck at home. I get to be at home with my family. I used to go, and I thought about this recently, with the kids being at home and yelling and screaming and you're trying to focus and doing Zooms. I'm like, thank God my kids are healthy enough to make noise. So when you begin your day with gratitude, when you end your day with gratitude, You're blocking the negative. You're fueling the positive. You're being very careful of the words that you speak because your words are a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You be careful what you focus on because what you seek is seeking you. Your thoughts truly are magnets. You magnetize the condition that you seek. These are life-changing principles, people. I mean, these are things that have changed my world. I was not this type of person before, right? That's what gets me so dang excited and fired up, you know? And so Dr. Fab, words cannot express how much we appreciate you. And so let me put your site back up there one more time, Fab Life Academy, how blessed we are to have him offer that to all of you. Go to that website. If you want to be one of the first 10, jump on that. And all this information is not going to do you any good if you don't go back and review it over and over and over, and if you don't implement it. I would encourage you to find 2 or 3 things you can implement immediately after this live. So once again, subscribe to my channels. Make sure you like the pages. And if you like this type of content, go ahead and smash that heart button. If you have someone in your life that you're like, you know what? Oh my gosh, this person needed to, this person needed to see this information. This could make an impact on my friend. Share it. Share it in a group. Share with all of those people because we're going to make an impact. You know, Dr. Fab, my goal is to impact 1 million lives over the next 12 months. Right? I would want to put that out there. I want to impact over 1 million people in the next 12 months to realize they can have more, they can do more, and they can be more with their God-given potential. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Fab. Everybody have an awesome rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.